Right. Let me know if you can hear me. How's it going? Super. Let me know if it's too loud or not. How's it going, guys? Can you hear the background music as well, just like softly? I thought I had it on the other time, the other stream, but I don't know if it actually came out. Sound is perfect. Nice one. Can't hear the music. I wonder why. How about now? Oh well, new music or no music, doesn't really matter. Still nothing. Alright. Only allow fan noise. Yes, I'm having. That's my bloody light. Alright, just need to fix the chat because I've stick it on a screen. I'll sort the fan noise out in a second. I have to change the settings from recording. Hang on. Cool. There we go. There's you guys. That's a good start. I reckon that should get rid of the fan noise. It's that light. I don't know what people normally do. I had to get a really powerful. I had to get a powerful light. It's got a fan in it. Welcome everyone. How's it going? How are we all doing? Just shout if the audio's not working out for you and I'll fix it. Can I make the sessions a bit earlier? Yeah, I'd love to. I'm still doing it on the fly at the moment, just figuring out when and where. Not where, obviously. I'm here. When, as to when I can fit it in. How you're doing? Hello from Iran. Wow. I appear to have quite the international reach, which is pretty cool. You're a data scientist, so you probably know more than I do then. Please make more videos about web scraping. I think I have found what my audience wants to watch video-wise, given the fact that I've done about 150 videos on it. Not all good. I will say that they weren't all good. Some are good, though. Recommendations for websites to scrape company information from. Probably just Yell. There's I can't remember the names of them, but in the US there are loads of really big like aggregator sites. But the thing with those is, generally speaking, they put up some pretty tough protections, so you have to really go in and you have to basically pay a lot. It's like server usage and proxies and stuff. I really sort out my video as well. I look ill. I'm not ill, honestly. Someone made that comment at the end of the last stream, which I thought was pretty funny. Why are my eyes all messed up? My camera, man, it's too good quality. It's just too good. I can't hear myself properly. Big fan from India, Mr. Strange. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for joining, everyone. I promise to make it as as interesting, as entertaining as possible. If only you could hear the audio. I'm listening to some banging music, and it's all copyright free as well. So what can I say? I'll have to figure that out for next time. uh, avoiding captcha. There's a few things you can do. There's a few things you can try and make your bot usage, your headless Chromium as normal looking as possible. So there's like the Selenium stealth plugins and stuff like that, which just remove the obvious stuff. I've even read about people going in and like making the mouse movements look normal and stuff. But I don't know whether I believe all that or not. But you will hit captchas. You have to just basically pay to get them solved. That's the only real way. That you can't really. I think that the early ones you could break them because they had a like an ID or a reference or something, and you could absolutely break them that way. Or if you've ever seen the ones that like move, you have to move a block. You could do those with Python, although I never did. But otherwise, you have to do one. You have to just use one of those services, like I forget what they're called, and you basically just pay, and people sit there and break them for you. They're quite cheap, but again, it's an arms race. It's all, it's like a threshold of shit. What's it called? Payment. It's like a payment entry. You have to pay X amount to sit down at the big boy table. Kind of thing it is really. It's real pain. Unfortunately, for a lot of people that just want some data here and there, you don't really have that issue. Why can't I get this audio to the stream? Don't know. I'll have to figure that out. Been watching my channel for a year. Thanks. I really appreciate that. That's really cool. That's really cool. There was I did a stream the other night as well, and there was a couple of guys in that I remember. I say guys, I assume they were guys. A couple of people in that I remembered from right at the very, very beginning, which is really cool. Like, building an audience is not that easy. Somehow I've fallen into it. I have all you to thank for that. What kind of music do I play? Uh, I listen to mostly metalcore at home by myself, but right now I'm listening to like synth wave stuff because when I listen to music, I do it two ways. One, I want background music, in which case lo-fi, synth wave, stuff like that. Or I actually want to listen to the music, in which case I listen to what I'm listening to. People on YouTube are having a hard time with Flask's flash function. Okay. Hard time how? You have to put the thing in the template. How it's a Ginger 2 template. So you get it up and you say flash and you say if there's a flash message, show it here, and then you basically just send it to that when it comes up. If that's what you mean. I'm not sure if you do. If you do, that's if you want to learn Flask stuff, I said this the other day as well. Miguel Grimberg, like this guy. I'm not sure it's got the D in it. I don't think it's got the D. He's the Flask guy. He's really, he's not the most enigmatic, but he knows his stuff and he's a good teacher. And it's free. It's all free as well. Freelancing. I get this question a lot. I quite like this question. Freelancing. It's not easy. It's the thing with web scraping, right, is that the barrier to minimal entry is quite low. So it's really difficult to get those early jobs because there's so many people that can do it. And like you said, from India, because countries like that have a lower cost of living. So you need, if depending on where you are, you might need to earn more. So that's why they can charge less. It won't, from my experience, it will never be a full time. Some people maybe can, but I just haven't been able, I don't think it can be. But what I do think is that you can, the skills that you learn from learning it just transfer straight over to web applications, all sorts of stuff, because you know how, even if you're not a front end dev, if you don't want to be a front end dev, you can you know all about it anyway because you've pulled apart front ends trying to get the data out, so you already get it. Christoph, hello, thank you, and no worries, man. Daddy duties. Thanks for dropping by, though. Appreciate it. You are the scrape god. Thanks. Don't think I am. I think I'm just good at solving problems, and I like it. I get stuck into it, and I see the sites, and I sort of really figure out the best way to do it. Any good book you can recommend? What, like, just generally? I assume you mean. I don't. There aren't any. There aren't any web scraping books really. There's a couple like O'Reilly ones, but I never read them. I think they're probably too far out of date, to be honest. I haven't read them, so I've learned everything I learned was self-taught, working things out, finding out why they were wrong, why things don't work, all that stuff. What's the best way to rotate IPs? You need proxies. Is that what you mean? Yeah, whenever you sign up to a proxy service, you have a few options. You can do just a certain amount of proxy IPs, in which case you stick them into your requests, or you get one login and an IP, and when every time you send a request to it, the service rotates it for you automatically. Jesse James, that's really cool. That's really great. It's funny. Yeah, no, that's really cool. I'm glad you managed to do that. Large companies have funny ways of doing things as well, so that's really cool. I appreciate that. Thank you. How you show your setup once your scrapers are finished. How do you run them? Oh, I have essentially I just have I use DigitalOcean, but you can use any. Linode is good as well. I just have a VM, and I just use GitHub, git clone, install dependencies on a virtual environment, or not if I'm being lazy, and I just, if it's just requests, I just have it installed globally on the machine usually, and then just run them on cron. So set up the cron job, and I've had one that's been going for, I reckon, at least 2 years, just churning away. Small job, does this little thing, off it goes, just every time. And these Linux VMs cost you about $4 a month or something like that. Or you can do the other route, which I showed yesterday. That guy, little Raspberry Pi. You can do it from your own if you want to. I prefer the hosted ones though. It's just easier. Just easier. Scraping with Node. Yeah. Learned JS recently. Yes, yeah, you can write pretty good web scrapers with Node.js. Render.js, you want to use Puppeteer. So it's that's the main headless Chrome browser. So just look for Puppeteer, and it's really good. I think I've got one video on it on my channel. I'm just not a JavaScript guy, so it's kind of like, I don't think I did everything quite perfect, although I got the end result. How can I scrape Instagram for the 7.8 million accounts? Not easily. What's the best way to automate purchasing? Purchasing as in, if you want to follow through a checkout, if you want to go onto an online shop of any kind, put stuff in a basket and follow through to a checkout, just use either Selenium or Playwright. Playwright's my preferred now. And you can just get it to, I've done this before with testing, you can just get it to follow through the process, put all the data in, buy something. I was doing some load testing on Shopify stores, not the actual Shopify part, but like a connecting bit. And I just basically set up 3 or 4 instances, just basically buying the same things over and over again just to see that it worked. Game moves 2. What happened to game moves 1? What would you say is the best way to create a modular scraper? Download from multiple sources without... that's not that easy in my experience, because all the sites are so different. If you want specific bits of data, you have to actually use those selectors. What I would do is write a scraper for each one, probably. I don't think that it depends. It depends what data you're getting, because if you can get access to like the backend API, you can get JSON data, which is so much more structured. So it is a bit easier, because then you can just make the requests all in one place, and then spit the data out, and then just pull the little bits out that you want as you go. But if you're passing HTML, it's going to be much harder. Harry Lau, thank you very much. Thank you. Love your content. That's cool. Cool. Thank you, man. Where you get your clients? Honestly, through YouTube. I don't go looking for them anymore. I don't like looking for clients. It's hard. Really hard. Really, really hard. I'm not a great salesman. Stars, yo, how's it going, man? How to know if the data is getting loaded through an API on a website? Go to the network tab, see what requests are there, view source. If you go, what I like to do is load up the page, find a specific string of information or any text, go to the source, view source. That's pretty much what your code's going to see when you ask for that, and then search for it. Or you can do it through the terminal with curl, whatever. So, and that's where you'll know. And if it's not in there, you'll see a load of script code and you'll know something's happening. How can I make money with web scraping? Start a YouTube channel, make better videos than me, which is probably not that hard. Or it's hard. I would suggest that you take your knowledge. I said this near the beginning. Take your knowledge and then transfer that into other areas and just be adaptable. So what happens if you become a freelance? If you work freelance, a developer, and someone wants you to make an app, I can do that. You already know from learning web scraping how to work with APIs on web, and you understand front end, you understand back end, because you're already writing code like that. And then if someone comes to you and says, hey, can you get this data off this site for me? You go, yeah, absolutely can. Coding is fun. It is. Mostly. It is mostly. I've been experimenting with different frameworks. So like I've used Django a lot. I've used Flask a bit of Fast API, but I've been looking at some of the other ones. I've been looking at Sanic, which is quite cool, because one thing I like about it is that the server that comes with it is already a production server. So you can essentially just stick it on a VM and run it. I'll do a video on it at some point, but I'm still messing around. It's a mess at the moment. I'll show you the code in a bit if you like. Recently heard of Pylenium. I've not heard of that. I'll have to look that up. I'll have to look that up. $63 concurrent viewers. Bloody hell. Thanks everyone for turning out. Really appreciate it. Not done many live streams, so you have to excuse me if I'm not that great at it. Like the fact that you can't hear the music that I'm hearing, which is, I'll fix that at some point. Probably. How can I do async scraping if I have to scrape the contents of a list of link for each link? I think I know what you're asking. What you need to do is you need to take however all the links have come to you, take them all out and then put them all together to run into the function. So don't try and pull them out as you go. Pull them all out at the start, so you've got a nice proper list of links to work with. How do you deal with obfuscated JS? I feel like, Ivan, you're asking that question because I've got one video on obfuscating JavaScript. So I must have paid you to say that. So I've got a video on that. Very basic one. I've not done a lot of obfuscation, actually. I just found that particular one really interesting. It's something I'd like to look into more. So not sure is the answer, really. Zillow is a complex website. Yeah, those sorts of websites generally are. Zillow, Rightmove, which is the UK equivalent, flights websites and stuff like that. Yeah. I started a video about Zillow and Python before. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it on the next live stream that I do. I'm going to sign up to one of those like scraper API services. You know, the ones where you send the request to them and then they send you the data back. I'll give one of those a go. And Zillow's on my list of ones to try for that. Excuse me, sorry. How do you manage multiple scraping jobs that run continuously? Ones that run continuously as in all the time, or continuously as in like, you know, once a week, once a day, once every few hours. I just run them all on my virtual machine on my DigitalOcean droplet. Stick them all on cron, have them all output their data to wherever they're supposed to go. If you've got lots of ones dealing with the same sort of data, make sure I would use some kind of database to manage it all. There's another thing actually just reminded me that I mean to show is there's like a front end manager thing for scrapey spiders. I can't remember what it's called now. I think it's built on Django, which is why I quite liked it, because I understand Django, so I could see it all. But you can like run it and manage all your spiders. So I don't actually do that at the moment, but I'll have a look into it. Pretty cool. If you create a Udemy course, I'll definitely buy it. That's cool. That's good to know. I'd love to do that, but I don't know. Not sure how I feel about those sorts of things. I've had really mixed results with paid courses. And I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure I'd be able to bring anybody any more value than I've already have for free YouTube ads if you have them. How to work with specifics inside the HTML table. Are you using pandas to read the table? Okay. So if you use pandas to read it, you just get a data frame representation of what it thinks is the table. But if you want specific elements, what you need to do is you need to find the table with your HTML parser, save the table as a variable, and then loop through parts of it, searching for each of the bits as you go. So if you've got a table that's got 20 rows, TR tags, get the table and then find in that all of the TR tags and loop through them and then pull out the bits of information, or however you want to do it, which is a better framework. I like framework walls, so it's good fun. There's some weird and wonderful ones out there. I found a list. I was looking yesterday. I thought it'd be a really cool video to try and do a video on like a Python framework that was made like 20 years ago or something, because you can still get the source code. Oh, need a camera. Sorry. But I looked at it and it just looked exactly like Flask. I thought it'd be really boring. So Django or Flask, depends. Depends what you're doing. If you're brand new, unless your dream job or a job that you're working towards is a Django developer, start with Flask, because it will teach you the more common way of how the routes work, views, how the URL, the router works, how the handlers, the functions work. Whereas Django has its quite specific way. But if you're well versed in both and you just need to get some kind of MVP project up or something, Django's so much easier. That's what I do. I can write a functioning Django API in like an hour. It's just dead easy. It just does it all for you. But it's heavier. Exactly. So there's a few more questions coming through. I will get there. Just bear with me. I'm trying to read down at the moment. I don't know. I assume that's what proper streamers do. Or do they just pick and choose Maybe I should start doing that. Just pick and choose the questions I can actually answer as opposed to the ones that I can't. It's great. Yeah. So things with sites like AliExpress, right, is I think they can show different things because they'll show it dependent on your history on the site. So if you've gone on AliExpress on your browser and clicked on a few things, it'll start to show you different things based on that. So when you actually request it with your code, you just get a plain version completely different. So sometimes you get different things. Is it possible to convert a script to exe? I believe it is. It's not something I've ever done. I don't think Python lends itself particularly well to that. If you wanted to do something like that, then my next favorite language, Go. Go builds into exes or Linux binaries and Mac as well. But obviously, that assumes you know a whole different programming language. I've never made a Python script to exe. It's just not been in my need, really. Have I ever used a Chrome extension? No, I don't. I just can't see why they would ever be any good. I'm not saying they aren't. I just don't know why they would be good. Chrome extension for that sort of thing seems odd. Maybe they are good. I don't know. How's it input data? As in like fill in forms and stuff. I know you can. I know you can do it. It's not something I've done recently. I definitely remember trying it, and I think I just followed the documentation. Can be used for scraping every website. Pretty much any site that doesn't find and block headless Chrome, absolutely. Does DigitalOcean have a free tier? No, they don't. I think if you want a free one like that, there's things like, I don't know, can you run scripts on the free Heroku tier? Well, there's Python Anywhere as well, which has a free tier. And I do remember right at the very beginning of doing stuff, I put stuff on there to run it on a cron, I think. Yeah, I think so. Do you prefer async IO or threading? Async, 100%. Async. Threading doesn't feel great to me. Let's set up a bit. Threading doesn't feel great. Async, on the other hand, is exactly what this is designed for. I should put my phone on silent, sorry. Because async will, whilst your code's waiting for responses, it will fire off more and more and more and more. So you can literally go super, super fast. That's how you do a DDoS attack as well. Cool question, eh? Nobby Laggy Gamer. That's a cool name. Appreciate that. Any advice about scaling a web scraping on a Flask server? Not sure exactly what you mean. So you're running a Flask server that has endpoints that do scraping jobs, maybe? If that's what you're doing, I'd suggest separating it out, making your Flask application that accepts data that your web scrapers push to it. So either through like the business logic part, so like services, or you create an API that accepts a post request and put just like a basic API key on it, so only you can do it. Thirsty, hang on. It's hard work talking this much. I do appreciate all the questions though, guys. I'm trying to get through them all, so thanks for bearing with me. Tried Kayak and it seems like server-side rendering. You don't get the stuff you need. Okay. All right. Service. Okay. I'd have to look into that one. I know Kayak's a massive site. I tend to stay away from those ones because they're just massive pain, and like the data you get out is, I don't know. I think it's not overly useful because you're getting third party in between what you're after. I'll have to try that though. I'll have a look into that one. Sorry, I don't have an answer. How do you structure your code for larger projects? My general philosophy is don't split it out too much too quickly. So like you see these big projects like web applications and stuff, or even like maybe bigger scrapers if you've seen any, where it's all separated out neatly, right? And that's really cool. But if you don't have that much stuff to go in those extra places, it's just not worth it, right? Just try and, it's hard to explain, try and keep it so it's as logical and as readable as possible. Make sure, focus on your writing good functions that do things that you can reuse. And when you get to a point where you're like, right, I'm doing this, I'm working on this specific part. So let's say it's a web app's a good example, right? Because if you've got loads and loads, if you've only got like 2 views, or just stick it in the main file. There's no point in having a separate file. But if you've got to a point where you've got views for your admin, views for your products, views for your customers, you want to take those out and split them out so it's all nice and neatly organized. I hope that helps. Can Jamie James, were you here yesterday, I think? Or the day before? What day was it? Friday. It's Friday. If you were, hello again. If you weren't, welcome. Pretty sure you were. Can make an app in Django and connect it. So if you're asking, can you make a Django app to display all the scrape data? Yes, absolutely. What I would do is, we got a few options depending on how much data you're putting into it. I just described it with the Flask app. Make the Django app, create an API endpoint you can post to. You'll need to secure it. Then you can write separate scraper files. So you can have them anywhere. You can run them on your own machine. You can run them on a separate VM. You can run them on the same one. And then run those on cron. And then when they do, you can push all the information into your Django application into the database. It just gives you much more control, because if one of the websites changes and that specific scraper doesn't work, you can just rewrite that one, because you know that the output has to match your database. McKinley Slade, hello. Making sure and how to edit HTML tables, sending emails. I got asked that in a comment actually. Last time I did that, I just cheated and I used pandas. So I used like a 50 megabyte library to create one HTML table to send in an email. I cheated a bit. It's possible though. Zodiac Gaming. Oh, you've probably gone now. Sorry, man. I'm a little bit behind. Anyway, I hope you enjoy your dinner if you are still here. If you're not, maybe you'll catch this on a thing. I will show that thing off, yeah. Have I tried building Telegram bots? No, never. I've never really used Telegram. I'm going to build some Discord bots though, I reckon. Actually on that, I'm half tempted to create a Discord server. Well, I am tempted, not half tempted. I am tempted. But I probably need some help. I probably need some people to help me run it. So if that sounds like it could be you, keep your eyes open for a post. We'll get there. I was gonna do it for my 25k subs, and then I didn't, and now I've got over 30, which is really appreciated. So I will get there. I tried GitHub Actions. No, I haven't. That's another one. I haven't tried that one. Otaku, thanks for mentioning that one. I need to have a look at that. That's a good idea, yeah. Selenium to scrape. I think AliExpress probably want to try. I don't know, but I reckon it's probably going to be getting the right headers and sending the request directly to the API. I prefer not to use Selenium for sites like that, because you have to make so many requests to so many different pages. It's so slow and rubbish. Replit, not use that one. Heroku, pretty good for free. Heroku gives 20 days free per month. Yeah, so there's some cool options there. I like DigitalOcean, and I've used Linode as well. I keep saying DigitalOcean, but I'm not sponsored or anything. That's just the one that I use. It just gives you have full freedom. I can just SSH into it from my desktop and just go from there. It's pretty cool. You use multiprocessing instead of async. If it works for you, then that's great. Async would be faster. I don't know I know you're saying link within links. I understand that. I'm not sure. I'd have to see your specific use case. If it works for you, mate, then that's fantastic. Do you seriously live in London? I live about half an hour on the train outside of London. So yes. No, but yes, but no. Far away in terms of the UK, but if I told someone from like the States that I live that far, they would say, so basically in London, even though not really. How to remove captcha. You can't, you have to break them. You basically have to pay people to solve them for you with the services. I hate it, but it's basically the only way. Oh, I'm catching up. I'm catching up. I'm catching up, I think. Okay. Cookies. Yeah, render the site. Yeah, sometimes you have to do that. You absolutely have to do that. What do I think about selling Python software? What do you mean by selling it? Do you mean creating? So if you want to make money from it, you need to provide people with a service. So you need to solve a problem that they haven't currently got solved. And you need to provide a service that does that. Or you need to sell your time to help them do something. Div is structured differently for all the descriptions. Okay. I'm not entirely sure what you mean. But if you can still find the div, you could then just pull all the text out and chop it up as you needed. That might work. Or you could write, if you find a few common ways that they are the same, you could write a couple of different methods for pulling it out. It's kind of hard to say without doing it. Yes, Discord server is really good. All right, I'll think about it. As in, I'll put it together and I'll ask for help because I'll need help. Yeah, Discord server is a good idea. All right, cool. I'm catching up. Sorry. If I haven't answered your question yet, I will get there. Kind of trying to go down the list. Oh. What backend framework should I use for scalable API website? Whichever one you like. Honestly, if you don't know any, I would say Flask or Fast API. Although I'm not a huge fan of Fast API, but it is the hot shit. So one of those two. They look the same to code. Flask has got the benefit of being older and it's got all the plugins. I'd recommend that because you can then write something really small and understand how all of it works. Whereas if you do Django and you just use all the plugins, if you don't know how they work, then you don't know how to make them work better for you. Whereas you can just throw it together and that does work. So it's up to you. Making XPath for sites that change that have clear IDs. Quite often check the attributes. Quite often they have the same attribute. You can use that. If they don't, and they're changing it all the time, it's a bit more difficult. You could try indexing them. It's not so great, but you can. Am I the only one who's trouble wrapping their head around asynchronous programming? No. Everyone does. I do. I am not great with async pro. All I learned was how to make async requests because that was my use case. Everything else, it's just really difficult. Speak to a JavaScript developer. They use it all the time. Scraping past logins. You can use requests to post, or sometimes what you can do is you just fire up a headless Chrome browser, log in, and then store all the cookies and the headers and everything, and use those going forwards. How many hours a day do you code? As many as I can. Sometimes it's 0, sometimes it's 12 or more. Sometimes I don't start coding till 9 o'clock at night and then I forget to go to bed. How do you motivate yourself? That's really hard. The best thing that I found for me is just literally when I sit down at my PC, when I sit down here, I just open up my code editor and just look at it. And I go, I'll just fix that. I'll just fix that. I'll just fix that. Because it just opens up my recent project. The hardest part is sat here watching YouTube and going, oh yeah, just open VS Code and write something. That doesn't really work. Most servers have request limits. Yeah, I'm going to do I'm going to do a video coming out about how you can rate limit your async requests. You can set it to do a certain amount, so that's pretty cool. How I'm scraping the YouTube chat. Oh, it's basically OBS, and you set it to show a web page. So all I do is pop out chat. I can show you. Hang on. There. So I popped out the chat here, copied the URL, stick it into OBS, and I basically found a website that did the CSS for me. This here is just CSS of that site I just showed you. Is there a web scraping tech stack you commonly use? I start always with requests, and if I need an HTML parser, there's a few that I use, usually Beautiful Soup, but I prefer CSS selectors. Or sometimes things just need to just have Scrapey written all over them. And the very, very last thing I need, if I have to, is a headless Chrome browser. It's always the last resort. What about Falcon? Yes, Falcon. Falcon is one that I looked at yesterday. And I know that was a late comment, and I hope you're still there when I said that. Next point of view. Oh mate, that's so cool. I'm glad you managed to sort that out. I don't know if I replied to you, and I'm really sorry to you guys if you do email me and I don't reply. It's not personal. It's not because I don't want to help you. It's just I've only got a certain amount of time, and I have to try and balance it. And but yeah, I really appreciate that. I'm really glad you figured it out as well. That's really cool. What's on your baseball cap without looking at it? I know what it is. I just can't pronounce it. I'm not even going to try. It's I think it's Swedish outdoor brand. I just like it. I do outdoor stuff sometimes. Sometimes I go outdoors. What approach do you use to make sure you get informed your cron jobs are either failing or not collecting the data you want? Login. Every scraper that I set up to run on a cron job has my set specific logging, which is basic, logs on it, and the data's always going somewhere. So if it doesn't get to where it's supposed to be, I just go on my server, find the logs because I store them all properly in the right folder per the project, and just go back to the time, see what the problem was, and fix it. What about JS frameworks? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know a lot about JavaScript. Express, Node.js, backend ones. Are there other ones? Is Next.js, is that backend as well? I don't know. I only really know the Python ones, to be honest. Hey, Cot, it's really nice comment, mate. Really nice comment. I'm glad you're learning stuff, man. Keep learning stuff. Keep working on things. Keep plugging away. It's the best thing you can do. Your friends ask you to scrape P-Hub, wonder what that is, and implemented it. Hey, project's a project. What can I say? Find one. Find a project that you're interested in. That's the thing. LXML's pretty good for HTML passing. Yeah, sure is. What's the best proxies? My current proxy provider is IP Royal. I am sponsored by them. I'm going to say that right now. That was sponsored. I said that because that was sponsored, but that's what I use at the moment. No problems. Thanks for joining me, mate. I'm glad you enjoy my videos, and I'll see you later. Local server or cloud? Cloud. Much better. Don't manage your own hardware. Let other people do that. Data storage, Postgres. I use more. All my main database is Postgres. Suggest VPN proxies. The problem with VPN proxies is they're almost all blocked. Like free ones. When I scrape AliExpress, I get 10 products instead of 60. Depends on how the products are being loaded to the page. There could be like a URL parameter or something. It's been a long time since I've looked at AliExpress. I could have a look again, I suppose. I started developing Discord bots, and you got really okay paid. Yeah. That's cool. That's really cool. I know there's like a pretty good need for them. So I thought my kind of idea would be, I'd love to make one that you can authorize users to send URLs to return specific pieces of data. That'd be quite interesting. So you could say like, "Oh, get me whatever from this." So we'd have it set up so it would just be one specific API or something. I'll just get me this one piece, and you could get it. Go versus Python for large-scale projects performance. If it's web-based server projects, Go will be much better than Python, just simply because of the way the language works. I say better. The best language for something you want to build is the language you know. How does a web server detect if you're using a VPN? They're just like, I think they're just widely used IPs, or they're like data center IPs, so they're just known and they're just on a blacklist. I use a VPN for all sorts of things. What do you normally use a VPN for? Geolocating and stuff like that. And when I put it on, loads of stuff becomes. I can't get my scrapers through certain things just because it's just a bad IP. Whereas I run it on my actual proper residential IP here, it's fine. We try to make tutorials about Puppeteer, or you stick with Python. I think I'm probably not going to do any more JavaScript stuff, just because I don't know it that well, and I'm not that. I'm learning. I'm still learning as much Python as I can. I'm still learning, so my main focus is more Python, i.e. web frameworks, and then I do Go on the side because I like it. How many proxy IPs do you cycle through? Hundreds. If you buy a proper rotating IP, you'll just get a new one every time you make a request. So my phone keeps going. Nothing important. Tell me what Python is used the most. It's probably the most widely used. In fact, data science and machine learning, and then back-end web apps. Surprised how many people pay for Discord bots. I need to learn how to make Discord bots then. Any real jobs? Yeah, absolutely. So when you learn scraping, automating bots and stuff like that, you learn so many different topics, and you get a really good idea of the language. You'll be able to take that and apply for, at the very least, junior dev jobs. If as long as you've got obviously the hardest part is interviewing, right? And being self-taught, that's always going to be the hardest part because there's going to be big holes in your knowledge. But um if you put together a portfolio of things that you've made, like the best things, obviously, then you should be fine. Python has an incredible support community. It does. It's like almost number one most popular. Is it number two most popular language now? People say it's really good for beginners as well, which it is. It is and it isn't. Depends what you're trying to do. Because it shields you from so much stuff, that's really good at the beginning, but you do need to learn that sort of thing. Like if you only ever do Python all your life, you'll never know what a garbage collector is and stuff like that. And if you only ever use frameworks, you only ever know how to use those frameworks rather than. I mean, okay, that's not totally true. You get what I'm trying to say. Do you only use a Chrome agent, user agent, or a Firefox one as well? I generally use the one, whatever browser I'm running, because I just type into Google my user agent and copy that. So I use all sorts. What was that question? I missed one. I glanced over one and I missed it. If you're a beginner, what would you choose, Java or Python? Do you mean Java or do you mean JavaScript? Either way, Python. So yeah, student web dev stuff. I don't know what the landscape's like in Portugal. I only know what it's like here. But everything that I've been learning, and obviously I've had a good few years of Python now, but I've really concentrated it in the last couple of years. I could apply for junior web dev roles building back-end APIs. That's what I'd want to do anyway. No front end for me. Emmanuel, hello from Patagonia. Hello from Patagonia. Wow. That's so cool. Congratulations. Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate that. What do you think about Number? I have no idea what that is. Sorry. I'm sure it's really cool or really bad, depending. I don't know. What websites are you blocked from at this point? Loads. I don't know. There was a point where I just was just trying to do so many things. My ISP IP just got blocked from loads of. It doesn't last though. You don't go on a permanent block. It's only temporary. From my experience. Dr. No, hello. You're late. You are late. We've been going for. How long have we been going for? I can't see it. A while. Nearly an hour. That's all right. No problem, man. Legality. So my standpoint is if the data is there for everyone and anyone with a web browser to see in front of them without having to do anything like logging in or trying to access parts of a site that you're not supposed to be through any nefarious methods, then it's fair game, in my opinion. The only thing that I would say is that when you come across like these smaller sites and you can tell it's just run by a couple of, I don't like to hammer those because it's just not fair on the traffic. But, massive corporations that they have millions and millions of users per day. Like if you send 1,000 requests, no one's going to notice. And they won't care anyway. How many people do you think scrape Amazon every day? How much does it cost per month to store your Postgres data on a cloud server? All my stuff's on DigitalOcean. I have a few Postgres instances running. It's not too much. I think they start at $15 a month. I don't have massive data dumps myself. Just because I don't. If I'm doing stuff like that, it's usually for someone, so I do it on their server. What do you think of Python desktop GUI apps? I don't do anything with GUIs. I don't know. It's never appealed to me, to be honest. I do everything is terminal based for me. I know you can build desktop applications in Python, but I don't know. I don't think it's the best thing for it. I don't know. Isn't it like I know it's not loved, but isn't like Electron and stuff like that best for those sorts of things? That's what Discord's made in. No worries, Nick. I appreciate it, man. Have I tried turning it off? But loads of times. Get a new IP. Do you think the desktop web scraping tools will ever be close enough to writing your own code? Those sorts of things fit a specific use case. It's like they're generally aiming at businesses that would rather just spend the money to get exactly what they want. You won't be able to beat something written for you custom though. Have I tried Android apps automation? No. I've not done any mobile app stuff at all. Have you heard of these services like HoneyGain? You let them use their IP and they pay you for that. Yeah. Yeah. It sounds a bit like, I'm sure that I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but it's a bit like someone coming up to you and saying, "Hey, I just need to borrow your car for a bit. I'll give you a tenner. Is that all right?" Who knows what they're doing? It's a getaway car for a robbery, or it could be a bloke picking up his kids from school. What's better, requests HTML or BS4? I used to use requests HTML for everything all the time. I still like it. I still think it's really good. BS4 is like the original, but I always use CSS selectors anyway. GUIs are good for game bots. I suppose they are, because GUI is really good for people that want to use something and don't have any coding experience. I guess that makes sense. I think eBay noticed my scraping. Really? How much data are you trying to pull? They have like automatic things that notice irregular behavior and just temporarily ban your IP. Don't worry about it. No one from eBay is going to send you an email saying you accessed our server. But on Etsy web scraper, EdBoss, that's a cool project. I like projects like that. Those are the sorts of ones that I started off. If I weren't streaming this evening, what would you be doing? Watching other people streaming. Probably. Adrian, have I tried RPA tools like Power Automate? No. And love the cap. Yeah, this is my new favorite hat. And I'm wearing it because I was recording a video earlier and the light shines from this direction and it makes me look like my hair's falling out. Do I use Linux? Which distro? I do. I use Ubuntu. I know. But I run i3 on top of it because I can't deal without tiling window managers now. I'm just so used to it. I'm so used to it. It's a good idea to use Firebase. Sure, I've never used Firebase, but I can't see why not. Any tutorials to help upsert data? Oh, I know. I haven't got anything like that actually. I've tended to go from just getting the data rather than doing anything with it. I did a couple of pandas videos that did quite well, but my knowledge of pandas is relatively basic. So I don't know. I tended to not do that. I think putting stuff from a pandas data frame into a database is pretty simple. We could do that. What percentage of your work for your freelance is scraping? It looks like all you do. I work full time still, so I don't do a huge amount of freelance gigs. But 90% plus is probably about right at the moment. Hello from London. Hello from London. How would you advise someone wanting to get into freelancing? Upwork is tough, man. I've had like I got lucky and got one long lasting gig from Upwork that was pretty good. I got lucky. All of my work comes from people from this channel essentially. Because what better portfolio than literally here's me doing it. What better endorsement could be that? It's not about Android's apps. Sorry. I'm not sure that. I don't know. What's the difference between HTML and XML? I think they just work slightly differently. I think LXML is supposed to be lighter. How often do you get your IP blocked? I never get my IP blocked anymore because I rarely do any scraping on my own IP. I use proxies. VPN can work, but as I was talking about earlier, lots of VPNs, their IPs are from well-known data centers, which a lot of sites block anyway, as it is. I use Mozilla VPN, not an ad, not sponsored. I just use it. And depending on the site, quite a few of those IPs are already blocked, which is a bit of a pain. Not sure if you saw my question. Oh, sorry, did I miss one? Some keys are selling Google search volume even though it's not public available. Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting one. I don't know is the answer. I'd be interested to know. I think it's probably lies or it's probably speculation, or there is a way of getting it through Google. I don't know. I'll make a video on how to script Google people ask section. Questions, question and answers. I could do. Maybe. It's a cool idea. What's the main business? It's essentially what it is. It's people that want Upwork is brutal. 100%. People want data. They know a little bit about it, but they don't want to put the time in to learn to do it. So they pay me or someone else to do it. So that's pretty much what it is. It's all sorts of stuff. Loads of products, information. Lots of people want business information, stuff like that is the usual ones. So if you can find a way to do that, as I said, the hardest part about the whole thing is not being able to do it or not. It's about getting the clients, and I'm not that good at that. I have this where people come through and I can be picky and choose. I can pick and choose, which is obviously really lucky. I will say though that like I do work full time as well, so like I don't just do that. How does the server distinguish between DDoS and scraping? DDoS, if it's successful, takes the server down. Scraping, if it's successful, server doesn't realize. Do you have a tutorial on how to use proxies? Do you mean what I do? I've got a couple of proxy tutorials. All I do is I pay for them. I pay for a service that provides me with a URL with like my own login and code, and every time I send a request, I put the proxy in as that, and it goes out to their server, and they rotate IPs for me. It's really simple. You just have to pay for it, and it's not. It depends. I'm gonna say it's not cheap, but it depends what you're trying to do. I don't think I'd ever try and run my own set. I think it sounds too difficult. Do I plan my code? Do I have an entire flowchart? I really should do it more because I find that I actually rewrite a lot of stuff. My general approach is I start writing the minimum and then I add into it. That's not the best approach. The best way I think would be, and I do this, I do a certain amount of planning. I tend to write it down. I either just have like, I quite often do markdown files in my project. My screen went blank then. My screen turned off. Sorry. I quite often write markdown files in my project, and I just write out notes of things I want to do. So it's usually like configure the HTTP client that I'm using, make the request to the server, what information do I want from that, where am I going to pass it to next, that sort of thing. I would advise writing out some kind of plan as much as you can, because otherwise you just get lost and you end up spending time on things that aren't that important. Google AdWords offers a range. That's right, it does. Yeah, I'm sure it used to be more accurate back in like. I date myself. Um, Let me know if the audio and the video is still looking all right. My OBS is looking a bit funky at the moment. I'm sure back when I was a young lad trying to do like affiliate marketing sites, the information was more available. And I think Google got rid of it 10 years ago, maybe. Who knows? The client outreach communication struggle when getting. Yeah, it is. Yeah. The first few clients I had, I just had no idea what I was doing. You just have to do it and just fail, and who cares? Like, it's the end of the day. At the end of the day, what's going to happen is you're going to end up working so much more for such a small amount of money because you're not going to feel like you can charge enough. You're so patient with people asking the same questions. I'm enjoying being here. This is like my most popular stream to date. I'm enjoying it. I like talking about this stuff, and yeah, I haven't got any friends, so it's you guys now. You'll be wanting me to go soon. Um, oh, were we talking about banks? The guy did scrape bank account. Oh right, yeah, yeah. There's, I wouldn't mess around with something as important as that. I would pay for something. Just use the standard banking apps. Proxy pricing based on gigabytes. Yeah, they usually all are. They usually all are. The ones that the IP one's pretty cool because you can get cheap ones if you're only going to use a really small amount of data. And the thing I liked about iPro is you can get started and try it for just a few bucks. Whereas if you go to one of the other bigger ones, they want you to commit to like 50, 60, 70 a month. And if you're just a guy doing a thing, you don't know whether it's going to work for you or not. You're just a guy doing a thing. If you're just a person with a small script, you don't know whether it's going to work for you. I generally find that you can use quite a lot of data if you're pulling a lot of information, so you just have to be careful. But it's pretty good. We don't have any friends either. Hey, doesn't matter. It's all good. How future how's a proxy use data? So you send the request to the proxy server, and then they request the information with that IP from the actual target server, and then send it back to you. So that whole thing is a data pipeline, and that's the data that you use. I think I definitely hit. I think I've only hit a 5 gig cap a few times. Because I'm usually pretty specific on what I want. So friends together, alone. Yeah. Please do more lives like this one. Hey, keep turning up. That's what I can say. I'm building up, slowly building up to doing some live coding. And the only reason why I'm not is because I've really thought about it. And when I'm writing code, I'm just fully focused. And I think you guys would just get ignored and be really bored whilst I just stared at a screen for 5 minutes trying to fix something. And then I'd get really paranoid because people would be shouting stuff out in the chat. You've only hit 5 gig a few times, which means proxies are dirt cheap. When I said that, I mean like obviously I don't have one proxy account and then everything goes into it. If I did that, I'd hit 5 gig a lot. I mean, I had this was a client one, so I had one for that specific client, and it was a proper async, shitloads of data, and we only hit 5 gigs a couple of times on that. So, and that was something like $75 a month, which for a business is a nothing expense, but for an individual, it's a considerable expense. Tried scraping YouTube. Yeah, I've done it a couple of times. I did it on my own channel, one of my videos. It's an old one now. There is a YouTube API though. I'm not sure what you can do through it. That's what when that when that phase was phase. Is that the right word? When people were saying they're changing the title to how many have used their thing, they were just using the API. I'm not sure what data you can get from other people's channels. Right, well, I think we've been going for 1 hour and 10 minutes. I'm scraping a few thousand lines of text. So save the next time you do it, grab that request and save it to a text file and see how big that text file is. That'll give you a rough idea. View numbers and numbers of likes. I'm sure I've done that. I'm sure I did that on my own channel without the API. Sure I did. Right, so yeah, give it a go and see what you think. All right, so I've got I need to think about a Discord channel then, don't I? I'm just worried that if I create a Discord channel, it has like 10 people in it. I also need some help setting one up. I don't want to do it wrong. As in, not do it wrong. Obviously, I can create a Discord channel, but like make sure that it's got all the right things on it. So, have you seen the automated TikTok lives? No, I don't go anywhere near TikTok. Is that like what? Turning long form video content into an automatic TikTok? That's a cool idea. Isn't that like Twitch clips? If I need a bot for Discord, hit me up. Yeah. Yeah, now I know how much you charge as well. I'll be asking for mates rates on that. I'll put a post out about Discord at some point in the next week or so. And have you ever thought about making real life videos like vlogs? Yeah, but my life's, yeah, I have. And I thought, don't be stupid. That's really boring. I literally get up, work, take the dogs out, go to the gym, work, make YouTube videos, watch Twitch or YouTube. About it. It's not interesting. It's not that big. I'll do it for free. Oh, you said it now. I'll do that thing where I'll say, oh, yes, just this. Oh, can you just add this? Just add this. Just add this. Just, oh, yeah, just this one. People set up scrape TikTok live comments. Oh, I see. Right. That's interesting. No, didn't know that they did that. All right, I'm going to go now. This was fun, though. Another hour and 15. Best stream yet. It's genius. Yeah, absolutely. I've enjoyed it. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. Oh, sorry, Chris, just turning up just as I'm leaving. Watching from Melbourne. Oh, it's tomorrow for you. Better than watching the morning news. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that you did join in, although you're going to get the last minute. So I'm afraid you've missed me in this instance. However, I did one of these on Friday. I did one today. I enjoyed both occasions. Both an hour and a bit long. I'll come back. What do you think of low code? Not for me. I'd rather have all the control. Imagine writing something in a low code platform and then it goes down the toilet. What are you going to do then? That's why learning how everything works from scratch is always a good idea. But thank you very much for turning up, guys. Really appreciate it. The next one, I'll try and fix it so you can hear the music that I'm hearing as well. I have a web page that seems like yeah, you can send it to me, Ivan. My email's on my YouTube page. I've got quite a lot going on at the moment, but I will do my best to get back to you. Hi from the future. Been watching for the article. I'm glad you managed to catch some of it, mate. Right, ending now, boys. Thank you very much for turning up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.